Radio. This is RPPR episode 55, one for the record books.
Wow, man, I was just watching your throat. It kind of bulges out like a frog whenever you do that.
Okay.
I'm gonna call you Frog Boy from now on.
All right, Tom. That's a great nickname. Fair. After being I deserve it for being the worst GM in all
pretty much. You're a monster, Ross.
I am a monster. I'm Frog Boy now.
It just turns out it's a deep one. Imagine that.
I'm just gonna get Bat Boy as a roommate, and we'll have a sitcom, and then he'll get hooked on drugs and scream at the producers. And
all right, I don't know where you're taking this. This is just going.
He's making a Charlie Sheen joke, but winning, because he's full of tiger blood. So it'd be Charlie Sheen and Bat Boy, but. Anyways.
How about we move on?
Okay. We're just a barrel
We're high on life.
Monkeys today. We've in news for RPPR, we just went to Fear the Con 2011 up in St. Louis with the Fear the Boot people, and we had a great time. Went
slightly better than last year.
Yeah, getting used to it, and didn't rain quite as much up there for some reason.
Rained one night.
Yeah, one night. But then we actually saw the sun, which was...
in St. Louis.
In St. Louis, unusual, to say the least.
St. Louis is a lot like Ravenloft, you know.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go with that. I don't know enough about St. Louis to...
Neither do I. I'm making a broad general statement.
Yeah.
That I don't really have to prove with facts.
I heard natives of St. Louis have to go through a ritual to prove their adulthood. They either have to kill a wolf or knit a quilt, depending on which gender. Strangely, the women have to kill the wolves.
See? No facts.
So yeah, I ran 3 games there. I ran a game of Road Trip, including for the host, one of the Fear of the Boot hosts, Chad, and I'll be putting that up on the AP site pretty shortly. And then I ran 2 games of Wild Talents. I've been running it since January, so I've gotten very used to it. I ran a Marvel zombie kind of game.
I was in one of them.
Yeah, normal people with 1 superpower each versus a world full of zombies and zombified superheroes.
And I know what you're thinking, Ross, zombies. How could that possibly go together?
I know. It's only like I've just written a book about it, and I'm trying to...
Oh, God, here we go.
We'll get into that actually right now. Zombies of the World will be out in June. It's 112 pages, full-color, glossy book. It's beautiful at the guide.
I've got to look through it.
It is. And if you go to zombiesoftheworld.com, you can see that. Pre-order. The reason I'm bringing it out is because pre-orders are now available. If you pre-order it now for $20, you get free shipping and a free survivor safety poster, which shows you that the greatest threat in a zombie attack
are survivors.
Are survivors, other people, not zombies. Because if anything, zombie literatures and movies have taught us that people are the greatest danger. So, not zombies. Yeah. I mean, zombies are dangerous, but it's people that fuck things up.
Well, zombies are predictable.
Yeah, exactly. Depending on what species, there's over 20 species. Well,
but you can really say they want to eat part of you.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we'll get into a little more about in the anecdotes talking about our experiences at Fear the Con. But yeah, it was a great time, and we'll probably be back there next year. I mean,
I think predict. So. Well, we keep getting invited. So.
Yeah. So anyways, this episode, one for the record books, we're talking about big events. We're talking about, the big, not the the average session, but the big events in a campaign.
The things you lead up to.
Yeah, the lead up to either the act breaks, the finales, the boss fights, whatever you want to call them.
Oh my fucking God moments.
Yeah, the semester's ending and we're all moving away, so we need to wrap this shit up type events. We've been actually, since January, the RPPR crew has been playing a new campaign, The Heroes of New Arcadia, Wild Talents superhero game, kind of a street-level, Spider-Man level kind of campaign.
Big fun?
Yeah, a lot of fun. We've had a lot of players in it.
In fact, so many players, we had to kind of break the game up.
And to break the game up, you can't really do Wild Talents with 6 players at the table at once, usually. But anyways, there was a group of supervillains called the Syndicate, and the players have been, foiling their plans and beating up their bad guys and and killing their dudes.
Yeah, it turns out we were getting too successful at it.
Yeah. So basically, the Syndicate gave them a deal, saying, "Just give us time to pull everything.
It wasn't even really an ultimatum. It was just
let us leave, take our shit, and we'll get out of your city. We'll never attack you again. Everything will be just super." And the players are like, "No."
Well, I did.
Yeah.
But I realized, but every other player in the group, for the most part,
yeah, they all wanted to fight.
The big damn heroes.
Big damn heroes. So they got together and they found out where the supervillain's base was, and which was a particle collider that had been built around the city. It used to be a superhero research lab, but the bad guys took it over, and so they decided to raid it and attack and have a fight to the finish. And of course they recruited.
And that they did.
They recruited 5 NPC allies. There were 5 of them that went in there, and they were facing down 7 supervillains. And they were all 250 to 300 point characters in Wild Talents. And I don't know if you've played much Wild Talents very much, or those of you out there listening. With 1 or 2 characters, Wild Talents combats can be pretty fast, and it's very lethal. It's a very gritty system. Hit locations, only you take a few points of damage to the head, you're either knocked out.
A
or
single
dead.
good hit, and you're gone.
Yeah. So, but in this fight with 17 characters, all declaring actions and then rolling dice to resolve them. Took a little longer to resolve. So
I like to hear. I was not in this fight.
Well, yeah, you were not in the fight, but it took us 2 sessions to complete, probably around 4 to 5 hours altogether of game time to just get through the fight. And by the end, we posted the results on the forum. 2 player characters were killed, 4 NPC allies were killed, and 5 of the supervillains were killed. The other 2 just ran away, so the players won at a great cost.
But it wasn't quite a Pyrrhic victory, but
yeah, it wasn't quite Pyrrhic, but yeah, it was at a great cost. So yeah, it was a great event. Everybody had a great time with it. Everybody.
I was there at the end, and I will say kind of a sobering end to it, actually.
Yeah. Well, you were at the end in the sense that you were there.
I showed up.
To watch, basically, to listen in. You didn't actually fight in it.
No. But I was a witness. I wanted to witness the end of it. And I was fortunate that I got to, I think.
Yeah. So so that was sort of our recent big event. Now, of course, we've done them in the past. On the New World campaign, we've had one at the end of each tier of the campaign, the heroic. Paragon, and then of course Epic, which is the end of the campaign. But we haven't posted that yet. But that was sufficiently epic. I think everybody agreed. So every once in a while we at RPPR in our longer campaigns do these longer events to sort of break up the rhythm, so that every session isn't just the same old have one fight, do some talking, and then go home. We want to break out of the routine every once in a while. So this whole episode is about how to do that. So you talked about you mentioned that you've done some for your own group too. You mentioned the Gargoyles.
My Gargoyles campaign, the 2.5 year campaign I did, and actually broken up. There was basically 3 parts of it, each one broken up by a really huge event.
Yeah,
and I really think the first huge event was the most successful because it took place in the lowermost region of Hell. And it took place essentially on a large balcony that overlooked Oblivion itself.
All right, fun stuff.
So it was essentially against fallen angels, demons,
all right,
and things like that. It's essentially Lucifer was among them.
Among them, he was just.
But this is I like this more the fallen angel, not the I'm the Lord of Hell Lucifer.
Right, the Vertigo comic character.
Yeah. Well, I haven't read that. It was.
Well, have you read Sandman?
No.
Okay.
But and also there's the fact that someone could easily have been. I had this all set up. I mostly statted them out. Some of these, I had to stat out Lucifer in World of Darkness. That was amusing.
Give him 5 dots in everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Game over. Yeah, or time. Yeah, character generation over. Yeah.
And I think the greatest thing I did was there was a very real possibility that anyone with a successful brawling check could be thrown over the balcony into Oblivion. I say, and if that happens, you're gone. Soul gone. You everything that was you is vaporized.
Nice.
No coming back.
All right.
And this was the first big
sphere
event.
of annihilation, basically.
Well, it's Oblivion.
Yeah.
So there was. Fun fact: a lot of the players in it kept trying to make throwing checks with all the villains too.
Yeah.
So Oblivion became one of the biggest weapons in the whole fight.
I gotcha. Cool. All right, so we'll get more into that in a little bit, but let's. So we've gotten to giving you the idea of what a big event is, the boss fight, the dramatic conclusion. It doesn't have to be a fight, we have to say.
Normally it is, but...
the New World campaign, I don't want to spoil it, but that wasn't a fight. The end
no,
of the
it
campaign,
wasn't.
Yeah, it was a very dramatic event, though. So, you could... actually, there's an Iron Heroes campaign where the campaign ended with a city that went into a rebellion, a revolt. And so there was a lot of violence, but the players weren't just hacking and slashing at enemies. They were more like, oh, what do? We rally the people. We try and save each other.
Big damn heroes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the Iron Heroes campaign was very much sword and sorcery, very Conan, where the characters weren't really good or evil. They're like, I want to do what I want to do. Fuck everybody else, like an average D&D game. Or like the New World campaign a little bit.
Actually, like most role-playing groups.
Yeah.
Now that I think of it, yeah.
So the question is, so there are a lot of questions on, how, if this sounds like something you want to do. First, you have to figure out when you want to do it. When is an appropriate time to add a big damn event in your campaign? And so there are two sort of times you think it is. One is when it grows organic, totally from the story, just of the campaign. You just come to a point where you realize that shit's going to go down.
Holy shit! It's about to get real right now.
The most of our examples are kind of like that, or the personal experience. The Wild Talents campaign, the players chose to take down the supervillain syndicate.
Yeah, we did have a choice not to.
Yeah, they could have just retreated, but they're like, no, they're evil. We must stop them, no matter what. And so they're like, okay.
No compromise.
Yeah, basically. And that's perfectly valid. I mean, that's obviously when it happens in your campaign, it makes sense. Go for it. Don't force it. I mean, I wouldn't try and set things up so that now you have to fight an epic boss, and blah blah blah.
I would actually say if your group's into this campaign and they're part of it and they're invested in it, you'll know when it's time.
Yeah,
everyone will know.
Yeah,
it's not going to sneak up. You're going to realize. Probably 3 or more sessions or so, shit's going to end one way or another.
Right. Especially if they in a campaign with a long-lasting villain the players really hate, and they finally have a chance to take the villain down. They're like, we must do this. So all right. But there's actually another category or time to pick a big damn event, and that would be metagaming reasons. Now the biggest one is obviously if you're a college student, you're a high school student or whatever, the semester's about to end and everybody's going to go away for the summer, go away for break, and you want to wrap up the campaign before, you don't want to leave the campaign hanging.
Yeah, a 3-month cliffhanger sucks.
Yeah.
In fact, I would definitely say I don't think you can recover from a 3-month cliffhanger.
Or one of the players is going to move away, or one of the players is going to have a baby and basically move away.
Which I call you're going against your gaming group for a kid.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Seriously, that is just
how selfish.
That's unprofessional. That's what that is.
That's just selfish. Or any whatever reason, if there's a good metagame reason that you feel like, or you want to change campaigns,
or say something like D&D 4th Ed's about to come out,
right.
And all your players are like, we must play this as soon as it comes out. You're like, I'm not done. Well, I guess I'm done with this campaign now.
Right. Actually, before 3rd Ed came out, one of the last I think official D&D module came out was called the Apocalypse Stone. Did you see this?
Yeah.
And it was specifically meant to end campaigns. It's like, this is an artifact that's going to wipe out the world. You guys have one last chance to be big damn heroes and save the world. And I read through it. It's kind of a weird module, but it's kind of a good way to, it ends things with a bang. I think there's Sphere of Annihilations, Vecna, and all kinds of craziness show up. So,
Vecna.
So, yeah, I would definitely... there's a lot of different reasons outside of the game itself, not out of the plot, that you would want to have a, big damn event. And of course, we're talking about ending a campaign. Big damn events don't have to be the end of the campaign itself.
As I said, my Gargoyles campaign went on for 3, months, years after that first big event.
Right, but it's kind of like, you think of it as at least
the season ender,
a season finale, an act break. When right before you're about to switch discs in a game. Something
right
like
that. You need to take a piss.
The last issue of a trade paperback, ending a story arc at least. So there are a lot. So those are the good reasons to do it. When it's not There are times when not to do that. And that's like if you're into the middle of things, you're just sort of in the average campaign, and you're throwing one in for no reason that the players can figure out.
It comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. Like all right, so you're in the middle of this dungeon crawl. All right, we just killed the Goblin Chieftain. All right. We go to the next room. There is the 7-faced god of chaos. You must defeat each of the 7 faces and the platforms of doom.
It's like, the first shall be Ugath, devourer of souls.
Yes, and you're like,
dude, what?
Yeah, it's like, you guys, it's like Final Fantasy 2, Super Nintendo.
No.
It's like you have to face multiple versions of the same boss, and Kefka.
We're just trying to rescue the town, the mayor's daughter here. What the hell? It's like, well, guess who kidnapped her?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a bad reason, So keep that in mind. So once you figure out when you want to do that, then you have to start setting it up. Now, before you even start thinking about the design or what the event's going to be like or anything, first you're going to have to, you have to figure out in general what it's going to be like, and then start talking about it with your players. In the Wild Talent sessions, it was pretty obvious. The players wanted to go fucking take these guys out, take the Syndicate out, and then we're going to...
They're calling themselves the Syndicate, for God's sake, Ross. Yeah. What are we supposed to do?
Let them crawl away and do something else?
And exactly as I suggested.
Yeah. Well,
but I had a feeling that I would be the only one with that opinion.
And you were so right, Tom. You were so right. So with that, you kind of talk about the events like the Gargoyles campaign. Like, what kind of talking did you do with your players?
Actually, I did let them know, because once again, we all sensed that, sufficient parts of the story were uncovered, information was obtained, and that we're like, okay, this is the thing. At one point, actually, before we started a session, I looked at him. This thing's about to come to a head soon, isn't it? Like, yeah. All right. Well then, if we're gonna do this, here's what's gonna go down.
Right.
And we talked about it before then. Then we just kept playing, but we didn't specifically steer it toward it. We said no, the game will keep going as it has been.
Right.
But as we knew, we sensed 3 or 4 sessions from now would be a major end game.
Okay. Because at this point, you knew your group. You knew how much plot you could get through in an average game night. So you knew, okay, if they're at this point, it would take them this session to do this session to do this. And then, then they're at the, the edge of the oblivion or whatever.
Yeah.
So, with the Wild Talents group, I gave them a choice. I didn't even know that they would take it. And, to be fair, I kind of discouraged it a little bit. I said that was an option, but
Well, you gave us a lot of, but here's what could happen.
Yeah.
First of all, you could all get killed.
Yeah.
Every last one of you.
Yeah.
Or a whole lot of civilians are going to get killed.
Right. This is true.
Which is actually, that is, by the way, in character, the reason I didn't want to do it.
Right.
Because I knew that a lot of people are going to get hurt if this goes down.
Right, because of the threat they used against you. So that is one. Whenever you guys figure out that you want to do this, talk about it with your players, figure out, let them know in advance that this is going to go down so they have time to sort of psych themselves up for it. Players will get, they were really, especially with the Wild Talents, they came in early, they talked the hell out of strategy.
Yeah, especially this group, we plan this shit out.
Yeah, Caleb,
as players, particularly.
Yeah, if you look on our forums, the thread for this, Caleb put on detailed posts of this is what we need to do here. Since we stopped in the middle of combat and had a few days to come back, all right, this guy's going to do this guy should do this, and he was, freaking Patton over there, discussing what should be done. And with us, let the players know, let them, have, because once they build it up in their own heads, they'll be more excited about it. It'll be more memorable.
Anticipation is a very valuable tool.
Yeah, exactly. And then you kind of have to sort of, so that's how you set up with the players, and then you have to start figuring out how you're going to set it up yourself in terms of designing it, because a big event isn't a big event unless it's different from the average game. So you can't just do a typical adventure, because otherwise what's the point? You have to do something different. Yeah. You have to bring more to the table than just what you're usually doing, which means more work on your end. But because there's a greater payoff. That's just kind of how I feel about it. So I felt like...
Yeah, so I noticed you, first of all, that you had the map of the battlefield all set up.
Yeah. I broke out the miniatures. I broke out some terrain.
And we never did that. in the rest of the fights.
Right, in the Wild Talents, no. Like in D&D, that's a typical thing, Fourth Ed, which I did a lot, but like in the Wild Talents, I just did it. Typically, the fights were like one-on-one or a few.
And besides,
on a
I'd
few.
say, and especially with superhero games, as quickly and different movements as people can do, often a map is kind of useless.
Right, exactly. There's no tactical superhero game I'm aware of in the tabletop. I mean, people will probably, champions, blah, 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 champions. Or
Yeah,
something,
I beg to differ
I'm
on
not
that.
that good at math, so...
Yeah, I got better things to do, like...
if I want a bulletproof vest, I'll buy champions and strap it to my chest. But
yeah, because I
see, that's a joke,
I said
it's a very thick
yes,
book.
I own the book.
Yeah. You own champions?
Yeah,
Why do you own champions?
because I got a deal on it and I wanted to check it out,
Okay.
and then I discovered, wow, I don't have an honors math calculator to do this shit. Not that I'm speaking ill of champions,
Yes.
but
Not
dude,
that there's anything wrong with that.
dude, you got to admit,
Yeah.
that's a lot in math.
Yeah, it is. So, for me, not only did I do that, I statted out every NPC in that battle to a much higher level than I usually do. Like, usually with the Wild Talents games, I didn't stat out every single skill. I didn't figure out their point cost. I said, oh, well, this guy has 10D in this power, and that's that. With this, I did, and I figure out every single one. I print out everyone on a separate character sheet so that I could keep track of their damage and all this other stuff.
You remember that old thing, list of like the top rules for role playing?
Yeah.
One was if your GM creates a character sheet for the villain, you're not going to kill him.
Well, that certainly wasn't true in this case.
No,
but they killed the fuck out of him. So,
well, back when I used to play Palladium, usually if I made a villain with a full character sheet, that guy's not dying.
I mean,
because I invested a lot of my life in that game.
I did make them pretty hardcore. I mean, they did kill players. So,
I think, and I think it's a big fight. I think you have to. One thing you have to up the ante in is lethality.
Yeah.
I mean, any even
for a fight.
Yeah, for a fight. In any really like most of the fights we did, there was always the chance. Remote. Right. It was remote, but there was always a chance some guy with a deagle could get a perfect shot on a headshot and kill us.
Yeah.
Which we're like, that kind of sucks to go out that way.
Are you talking about the Wild Talents?
Yeah, Wild Talents.
Well, Wild Talents though, you have willpower to mitigate.
Right. But I'm saying
damage.
It could still happen.
Yeah.
But in this one, it was pretty much you said, no, I'd be surprised if no one got killed.
Yeah.
You actually said that.
Yeah, no.
I saw the look of mayhem you had on your face at that point, Ross.
I was totally blank, neutral expression. I was not at all.
I can read your eyes, Ross. And you have crazy eyes when you
Honestly,
do that.
Caleb was so convinced they were all going to die that...
you did. I think you had him a little psyched.
Yeah. He was really... No, I mean, he was like so convinced they were all going to die. And he was just so sorry. Like, oh my God, it's going to be a TPK. And
so what you're saying, he was already like writing a letter from the Civil War.
Yeah, pretty much.
to his.
We shall not survive the morn with a charge.
It says, but we shall fight as men, with honor and courage that is due of all men. And they're all like, dude, we're totally gonna live.
Well, I think in general, though, I think one big thing is sort of a more general version of that. What you just said, raise the stakes to the highest level possible, which means if it's a fight, make it as
also,
lethal as hell.
Huge risk for huge reward.
Right. But like even if it isn't a fight, like it's the final negotiation between the two kingdoms, and this will mean war or peace, or if you have to disarm a nuclear bomb or whatever, or
like a trial,
or this is going to mean if the supervillain wins, is elected president, or is going to be thrown in jail for treason or something like that. You have to raise the stakes to the highest logical level,
or like does the bomb do you just successfully find the bomb on the Hindenburg before it goes up?
There you go. Yeah,
I actually did a game on that.
Okay, nice.
We didn't.
The humanity.
No, a couple of us lived.
Okay. Well, the NPCs certainly didn't.
Oh well, no,
yeah,
no, they're gone.
Yeah,
dead. Burned alive.
Quite dead. That was quite horrific. So you need to raise the stakes to the highest levels possible. That makes sense in your campaign. If you're running Toon, obviously you don't want blood and guts. Like everybody dies or whatever. But
Well, I mean, everyone gets black into a cinder with eyes blinking.
Well, I mean, you could have it still like it's a depressing end. It's like the brave little toaster or something like that, where the like toaster dies.
What about Twilight of the Cockroaches?
Twilight of the Cockroaches, something like that, or it could be. There are a lot of, or if it's Roger Rabbit, Drudge Dredd wins, or Drudge Doom wins,
or if he doesn't win, like that dip cannon gets a little bit closer to them, and They
Well, I mean,
they suffer injury.
Right, they suffer injury, but they've lost their rights, they've lost their Toontown or whatever.
Or no, the will was lost.
Yeah, the will was lost. So,
Oh god, that'd be like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Dirty World.
Yeah, exactly. Or the Frank Miller presents.
Well, in that case, Jessica Rabbit would be a whore.
Yeah, exactly.
And Eddie Valiant would not just
make endless jokes here.
And Eddie Valiant would not just be an alcoholic.
Yeah, he'd be a drug dealer with Nazi tattoos on his forehead and all this other stuff because the joke is Frank Miller is ridiculous. So you need to raise the stakes to whatever the logical level would make sense in your campaign. For example, the civilian campaign. Actually, I have another example of the World War II civilian campaign we played in. The last session was, do we get away from the Nazis or not? Like all this time we've been hiding out in Amsterdam trying to not die and all this other stuff and scraping by. And then finally we had a chance to flee before the Nazis came in and liquidated everybody. And so, do you make it or not? And so I made it. I barely managed to get to England by the skin of my teeth. And the other players did too. But one was horribly scarred as the train he was on was hit by aircraft and a bullet seared his cheek or something like that. Or a bit of shrapnel did. And so that would be the appropriate finale event. So try and think about that. Now, the other thing, aside from raising the stakes that a big event really needs, I think, is new, unique rules. Now, rules aren't necessarily you're changing the entire game system, but adding specific victory conditions, modifiers, or
environmental effects.
For example, I gave the players a large number of NPC allies. I introduced new rules to say what they would or wouldn't do. The players could usually call the shots for them, but if they got too injured or something like that, I'd take.
It's quick, step in front of that Thompson.
Yeah, they wouldn't do that. One of them actually in the fight did. One of the NPC allies got heavily injured from several attacks, so I said no, he's going to run under cover and apply first aid to himself for several rounds. Also, his two friends just got killed too, so he's not going to be too enthusiastic about jumping out in the middle of the room and getting attacked from all sides. So there's that. Then your Gargoyles campaign, you introduced the Oblivion, which is a big whoa, holy shit. So the whole battle became not who can deal the most damage, who can get the most successes throwing people, in martial arts,
and especially in a fight full of winged creatures.
Right, yeah. So, was it like a black hole? Was there an event horizon at the point where it didn't matter how fast you could fly?
It was kind of like a black hole just leading down.
Okay, did it suck people in? So was it gradually pulling people in?
Yeah, it did. It gradually pulled them in, essentially, and there's tendrils. Oblivion reaches up for you in that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's not just.
Actually, once you get past a certain point, if you can stand on the balcony and look over, and it's not going to do anything. But if you go over the balcony and drop a certain distance, yes, it says, Oblivion hungers for you.
I'm surprised it does anything. It's Oblivion. It shouldn't want to do anything.
Oblivion hungers.
I see.
It wants to fill itself up with something it can never have.
Oh, poor Oblivion.
I know.
Other things in there's an epic D&D campaign where the players fought a city full of mind flayers.
I was in that fight.
Yeah,
another 2-session fight.
Right. And in that one, I had rules for the morale of the mind flayer and for your own army, and your army is gradually marching through the city. So there's kind of a battle front line, and the players' individual actions could push the front line back or forward or back depending on what happened. And I don't remember all the specific rules, but I came up with unique rules for that battle because it was a big, fucking epic battle. It was huge,
as it should have been.
Yeah. So again, new world campaign. I don't want to spoil it, but I did come up with new rules, new specific victory conditions,
and the epic ending was quite epic. I will just say that.
So there are unique events and rules for that. So I think whatever your unique, whatever your big event is going to be, I think you should come up with something new, something unusual. You could take existing rules from that you just haven't been working with and apply them, or you can make up your own on the fly, or just extend them.
Right. I think, by the way, throwing a nanite swarm at us in the epic ending was really shitty, Ross. You shouldn't have done that.
Yes. Yeah. So are the having Stardust from flying.
Now that was dude. That was just fucking stupid. You were doing that vindictively.
And then have Harry Potter and those
half of Harry Potter.
Yeah, half of Harry Potter.
It's like he was cut straight down the middle.
Yeah.
It was his left side.
I know. These may or may not be what happened in the New World.
You'll
campaign.
have to listen in to find out.
Yeah. We are on episode 39 now, so
out of how many was it?
Not many. Well, not many more. I haven't counted them all up yet.
I don't have it permanently memorized in my head.
I never bothered to count up how many were left because.
That is why you're a monster, Ross.
I am a monster. So, like, for example, you could just a few example for actually a road trip. For example, in road trip, there's the Area 51 finale, and I presented several options in there. One of them was like fighting a battle with the monster, this Cthulhu-esque Lovecraftian monster, either as a standard fight or like make it a gigantic monster and versus all the smaller monsters. I have rules that will allow the players' monsters to become giant monsters as well. So you have this big battle of the kaiju, work out. Or just like in any campaign, you have the infight be against a gigantic monster to where have several linked fights where you're fighting, first the tentacles, and that's treated as like three.
Then
separate
the gaping maw.
Then the gaping maw. Then the
and you
head.
have to, and once you beat the maw, you have to jump down the gaping maw to get to its insides.
Yeah, to get to its brain or its heart, or there you go. Get all Contra in it. So that's just one idea. Another thing is multiple actions at the same time, so you have the group has to split up and do multiple things at the same time. They're look at movie finales,
or put a time limit on it.
Yeah, time limits. That's a good one. Was there? I assume there was one for the gargoyles.
Yeah, actually, it was the gateway that led out of hell was going to close.
Okay.
So, actually, in this one, I know this is a little off topic, but I actually was describing this. I was describing this game on in a chat room I was on once.
Yeah.
And I was describing that my mythology in this one. There's heaven, hell, and fae.
Yeah.
And they don't oppose each other. They just represent different things. And hell is not evil.
Right.
Hell is darkness. Heaven's light. And then fae is life. Mm-hmm. So demons aren't necessarily evil. They just serve the darkness. And I actually had some Christian guy really get on me. Says so what you were saying, that demons are the good guys? I didn't say that. No, I just said they're not evil. Of course they are. That's what demons do. Okay, I'm talking about Gargoyles the game here. I don't know what you're...
Yes, I'm sorry my fictional characters don't live up to your theology. That's interesting. That did, you're right. It didn't have anything.
But I had to mention it.
Okay. Well, you didn't have to.
But I chose to.
You chose to.
Free will.
One thing you could do is also, like, with the time limits, you could add new modifiers to it, like environmental hazards. Say, round 1, conditions are like this. Round 2, shit gets more real. Like, as the gate closes, the effects of hell intensify. Or, better yet, like, the ground underneath your feet that's protecting you from oblivion is crumbling away. So players start have to look for shelters.
Actually, I did a Star Wars game where I had something like that.
Oh yeah,
we were on a disabled interdictor ship, and it was drifting towards the event horizon of a black hole.
Yeah.
So the gravitational effects start to affect the battle. So we were essentially trying to get to the one operating shuttle that could go FTL to get us away from it. And each round, he says, okay, after this certain point, each round, the gravity is going to increase by a factor of 1g.
All right, so there you go, and that's pretty intense.
Until eventually it says, you get to enough G, eventually that's going to be crush depth.
Right. So there you go. I mean, the key here is that you're doing things you don't normally do in the campaign. You're adding unique stuff that the players aren't used to, that it's a new thing, so they're like, oh shit, things are even more real. This heightens the tension and heightens their anticipation of what's going on.
That's something Lex Luthor times 10 would do.
Exactly. So... once you've designed it, the design should also be organic. It should be something like we talked about, intrinsic to the campaign. It should you shouldn't if you've been fighting robots the entire campaign,
don't suddenly bring in zombies.
Right, unless they're robot zombies,
I saw the hesitation in that. It's like, you can always bring zombies in.
You always can, Tom. You always can. But I was going to say dinosaurs.
Hey. Damn it.
Yeah. Tom's like, but you could always bring in dinosaurs. See? You see how that works, Tom?
That's why we work.
Yes. Also like make callbacks to existing campaign references. Obviously, especially if you're ending campaign, bring in as many possible callbacks in as you can.
Like, hey, remember this guy? Like remember this guy?
Yeah, remember this guy. Have every ally come in to help them out. Have every enemy come in to fuck with them.
Especially enemies they all but forgotten about.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've been in a few of these, and those are the ones that get the biggest reaction.
Yeah.
Like, especially if it's just one, like, especially that was early on, that just got away. They're all like, yeah, they're really cocky about it.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he shows up at the worst possible moment.
There you go.
Like, those. I mean, I've actually seen people ignore the big threat. It's like, no, we got to kill that guy.
Right. So if you have like a campaign that also, use your existing themes and bring them to their ultimate thing. Like if your campaign theme has been about liberation, you're liberating enslaved orc people from mind flayers, and that's been like your entire campaign. Don't make the fight suddenly about some sort of cosmic battle between between angels and demons or something like that, or like make it about political intrigue, something like that. Like don't suddenly change the themes of it, you know.
Just like, are you a bad enough dude suddenly to rescue the president?
Right. Well, like with a liberation campaign, you talk about free will, politics, government, corruption, justice, that kind of things. Don't suddenly make it, about religion or theology, or suddenly make it about something that's totally unrelated to it, like a detective thing. Like, oh, in this, to liberate all the Urks, you have to find out who killed this person. Like, what? And people are like,
how does that work? It works.
Yeah. Just because you want to run a murder mystery game doesn't mean that the players want to. It doesn't make sense. So make it organic to the camp. Make the finale, organic to the campaign itself.
Like don't make the ending of a Phoenix Command game a mystery.
Right. For your Gargoyles game, also don't pull like a Matrix thing or like it was all a dream or something.
The Deus Ex Machina thing. In this case, if it's heaven and hell, like this, I could actually say, don't have God come down to help out.
Yeah, exactly. Or like in your Gargoyles game, what would really sucked is the players have been like, one big thing that's usually common in RPGs is that the players have to do fucking everything. No one will help them. No one is competent. No one can do anything. Players have to save the day time and time again. So don't like with your Gargoyles game suddenly, the U.S. government has a special commando teams trained in fighting the paranormal. So Mulder and Scully and Fringe Division
and Gabriel, the Archangel Gabriel.
Yeah, and they all show up and they fight this battle at the edge of oblivion. You don't have to do anything. You just sit back and watch. See how cool that was?
Yeah, or like, it's actually the reason I stopped playing DC Universe Online.
Oh yeah,
because really it's just you're doing errands for bigger villains or bigger heroes, and when they do show up, it's, hey, look how powerful this guy is.
Yeah,
like, wow, I thought I was going to actually get to contribute.
Yeah.
I'm just doing fetch missions for the Joker. Thank you.
Wow.
Even though my actual powers, I could crush him.
Yeah.
Thank you, game.
Well, he has the power of,
crazy.
Major intellectual property assets. So,
I did that game for a week.
Yeah.
And just, this sucks.
Yeah. Sounds like it. So the final thing is, running it. Not the final thing, when you're actually running the game, what do you do? For me, I try and be strict, quick, and
consistent.
Yeah, consistent. Keeping things like the Wild Talents game. I try with 17 characters, and I had to rule on every single action. It was pretty complex at times, so I had to keep track of every rule.
I would say be patient too.
Yeah, be patient. But tell the players too, everyone, to be a little nicer than normal, especially if you're like with me, like everybody shut the fuck up while I'm processing this stuff, or don't keep yelling at me, I'm going to do this, or I rolled this,
or let's keep the tabletop chatter to a minimum.
Like, don't tell me your rolls until I ask you for them. Like, I don't care if you roll 5 10s until I call out with 5 initiatives. Shut the fuck up. So yeah, I mean, what about you? I mean, when you were
actually, one thing I've determined that I've had it happen to me, and I've been tempted to do myself as a GM running it, is you might have like this huge grand vision of what you imagine this ending with, or of what you expect it to go down. Because maybe you just saw Inception or something, and you say it's got to be a building that's on its side and spinning or something.
Yeah.
Don't if your players are clearly not going to go for that, it's don't force them to do it.
Right.
Yeah, I think the big event should be something that everyone has agreed to and wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. In my case, the players fucking just, we're gonna be big damn heroes. We're gonna fight, and so I'm like, oh god damn it, I gotta set everything.
Yeah, but at the same token, also, and it can't be. It's like, but if they decide to actually do it, it's got to be in a place and a setting and a time that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I think, if you had just suddenly said their base is a huge particle collider under the city. Yeah. So what are you gonna do? Yeah. If you had just said that right before the fight started, like, well, where the fuck did this thing come from? No, but you actually it was a couple of sessions before, but you finally said like their main base is this. We had time to look it up to prepare ourselves. Right. So don't just assume that your brilliant idea is going to be the do all end all. Right.
Be adaptable. Let players adjust their shit on the fly, or let be flexible. I mean, let your plans sort of mesh and mutate to fit with the players.
Yeah, because remember, I'd say a big fight is a particularly strong collaboration between you as the GM and the players. Right. They're into this as much as you are.
Yeah, I mean, I loved the Wild Talents big fight because it was very tactical.
I just hope I can be in the next one.
Yeah, and well, you could have been there for the first time. Well, you chose not to go.
I chose not to because it
didn't make sense. With
the character situation.
Right. So yeah, that's fine. But yeah. One thing you can do, we talked about being consistent and everything. You can do surprises. In fact, there should be a surprise or a twist or two when there's an actual fight.
Yeah, but there's a difference between a surprise and bullshit.
Right. In the Wild Talents fight, there was a surprise. There were a few surprises at the end of the fight, towards the end of the fight, but they made sense. Like the players had clues that this was going to happen. They had hints that like this could happen. They knew that there was a bad guy that was on the ceiling, sticking to the ceiling, and so the bad guy was using one type of weapon from the ceiling the entire fight, but then used another type of weapon towards the end of the fight.
Actually, an example of how not to do this. It was a modern combat game. I think it was actually Palladium's Modern Combat, which, never mind.
Ninjas and Super Spies or Recon?
No, Recon.
Recon.
And we were like,
I've never played Recon. I actually
save your money and your time.
Actually, I've heard Recon has a different rule system than the Palladium games.
Well, all I know is I didn't enjoy it that well.
Okay, was it standard Palladium rules?
The one we were playing might not have even been that. Might have just been.
It was probably Ninjas and Super Spies or
I wasn't running it.
Okay. Anyways,
but anyway, we were in a running escape as the big end part, and there was an enemy force chasing us, not like a couple of tanks. Yeah. So essentially, we had to survive and get to our rendezvous point, and then at the last moment, we're fighting, we're wounded, we're down to hit points, we've lost all SDC. Yeah. And the GM has a squadron of A-10 Thunderbolts fly overhead and start bombing us.
Bombing you? Okay.
Yeah. Which, I knew we were attacked by a force, but first of all, this was a Russian force using A-10 Thunderbolts.
Yeah, that's makes no sense whatsoever.
And also we knew part of our briefing was we were hundreds of miles from the nearest Soviet air base. So when that happened, what? Yeah, it brought the game to a crashing halt. But he
was this a con game or is this?
No, this was one of our high school games.
Oh wow, okay.
But yeah, it reminds me we're whoa. Yeah. I mean, first of all,
what the fuck?
First of all, what the fuck? Second of all, why are Soviets using American planes? And third of all.
What the fuck?
And third of all, how are we supposed to survive this? Yeah. He says, there's a way you can do it. How? We are down to we're down to 2 magazines apiece. Yeah. We don't have any stingers or anything. Yeah. And you're dropping anti-tank ordnance on us.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're battered. And he says and finally it was it says, so what do you do? He keeps saying, what do you do? And of course, we all do the thing, we time out because none of us can think of what the fuck to do. Yeah. So he says, and they do the rolls. You all take, and then the rolling of many D10s started.
Yeah.
And finally we just say, we all fuck this. Yeah. You're like, dude, and he says, well, it's not my fault you didn't figure it out.
What was it? Did he say?
He says, no, he didn't tell us.
What?
I'm starting to suspect. I don't think he knew.
Yeah, that's wow. That's just bad.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a really good, ending, big final fight until that happened.
Right. So yeah, there you go. That's how a finale, a big event, can be ruined by one unfair surprise. I mean, if it had been like hinted, like the Soviets captured A-10 Thunderbolts, like 2 sessions earlier, like they've reverse engineered the Thunderbolt, and blah 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 blah.
It still would make no sense. Like Soviet fighter bombers are pretty damn good.
Right. Well, or they captured them and then were just using them, or something like that, or like they were American double crossers, that were using them. The pilots had turned commie.
Now, I mean, it might have been a little bit of a Deus Ex Machina if they started bombing the enemy and that saved us.
Yeah.
Which I would admit, okay,
unless you had taken the mission, like, you can keep running, or you can stop and use the radio and call for backup.
Yeah, it was like now if he had actually done that and we're using it. And we finally get a hold of our team, like, we're under heavy fire, we need immediate evac.
Yeah.
And we start to give out our position, and suddenly the radio gets hit, and we don't know if they got our message or not.
Right.
And then they come in and do that.
Yeah.
That'd be actually kind of an awesome ending.
That would be. And but yeah, that's you see, you can have a great event up until one bad thing, and then it just ruins.
Over.
Yeah, it's just, oh my god, that's terrible. But again,
I actually I thought about it. Now that I remembered, like, man, I wouldn't know what Ross would have done if he was playing in that game.
I think I probably would have like torn my character sheet up and never played in a game that the guy run again.
Well, that's
pretty much what you did.
Pretty much what we did.
Yeah, good job. So that kind of gives you an idea of what to do when you're running a game or running a big event. And then of course once you finish it, then you have to think about moving on. Do you continue?
Yeah.
I mean, these big events aren't necessarily the end of the campaign. They're just the end of the story arc.
But I say if they're not. They've got to have relevance to when you continue. Like it's got to be like it's shaped everything that's now going to start.
Right,
happening.
Huge XP awards, huge rewards in the game. The Wild Talents campaign, it'll definitely shape the next tier, the next story arc,
and our reputations.
Right. So yeah, there will be a lot of effects. You just kind of have to plan it out. If it's the end of the campaign, then of course you need to do epilogues about what happens to the characters. Otherwise you're just a bad GM. I mean, let the players have some say into it too. Like, you go off and make you start a bakery and you become a baker. What? I'm a level 25th fighter. I'm a warlord. No, you're a baker now. You bake.
Like, you bake, dog.
Yeah.
Bark like a dog, because you're a dog that bakes.
So you can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not,
actually a good high school game I was in.
Yeah.
We did. It was only like a month-long campaign, but we played like pretty regularly. So, and we got to the end of it, and then he actually had his role play out a scene that took place 20 years later, as our characters 20 years from then.
Oh, see, that's a great epilogue. That's that works
really well. It was us. It was actually a Heroes Unlimited game.
Yeah.
So Palladium.
Yeah.
Back when we thought it was cool.
Yeah. I liked how the Fear the Booth, the live recording, they were asked what's the game they hate the most. They pretty much all said Rifts. So.
And actually, a funny fact, it was exactly the same reason given.
Yeah.
Even the guy is all this. We love the setting. The setting is awesome.
Yeah.
But the system is just horrible.
It is. We're still going to play Rifts though.
Oh yeah, we have to.
Yeah, Eliminators.
But anyway. But yeah, and that was awesome. Like, wow, and because we have to think of ourselves 20 years from now.
Yeah,
and that was actually kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that's a great way of doing that. I mean, if in Wild Towns I might do that if there will be 20 years after the campaign ends.
What could happen? Oh my god.
I know. So so that kind of gives you an idea of like what to think about when setting up, running, and concluding an event. It's a big thing, but every once in a while, I think your tabletop game needs a big event. To have the memories, the legends.
Yeah. Games can start to get stale. After a while.
If you're doing the same thing every week, a dungeon crawl, or even the New World campaign, you have all these shenanigans and a fight and all this other stuff. You kind of need to break it up. Wild Talents,
or shake it up.
Yeah, shake it up. Shake and bake. Wake and bake. Woo!
Oh, yeah.
Yes. That kind of gives our little intro on how to run big events. If you have any questions or comments about this, feel free to email us or at rpprpodcast@gmail.com or post on our forums.
We like posts.
Yes. We have a very active message board community with people talking about their stuff and their gaming. We can give you all kinds of advice. And I just added, actually a bit of RPPR news. I've added mobile support for RPPR. There is a iPhone app and an Android app called Tapatalk. One word, T-A-P-A Talk. That lets you view our message board in a way that's very easy to read on an iPhone, on a smartphone. So it costs like $2 or $3. I mean, it's free for me to set up on the forums, but if you want to use it, it's only a few bucks to get, and so you can be browsing our forums while you're at work, supposedly trying to be productive.
Technology,
or commuting or whatever. So check that out.
Technology has made wasting time so much easier.
Yeah. So when we come back, Tom will have a letter.
I will.
We will have some shout outs,
and we got some anecdotes. Shout out. I realize this isn't really my topic of choice, but I've been suffering a bit of no fucking motivation fever lately. It's been a while since I really found a topic that seems worth trying to write about, but luckily, a late night viewing of one of my favorite movies gave me some inspiration. That movie was The Fly, and the shout out goes to the director, David Cronenberg. Now, why would I gain inspiration from one such as he? It's because one of the things he's known for is a type of genre called body horror. This genre is known for grotesque alterations to the human body through disease, decay, parasites, mutilation, or mutation. I have a long history with such movies, dating back all the way to the mid-1980s. I was living in Ozark at the time, and my step-grandparents liked to rent movies and had little regard for the age of the kids who watched them. So there I was, only 6 years old, watching David Cronenberg's 1986 remake of The Fly. Instead of being horrified, I was fascinated. Watching Jeff Goldblum slowly devolve into a monster was flat out awesome. As I got older and could use my mother's rental card, I went out looking for similar movies. It was then that I really saw how far back the body horror thing went. I watched Matango from 1963, The Incredible Melting Man from 1977, Eraserhead from 1977, the baby feeding scene, and Altered States from 1980. After that, I was hooked. I made a point to check out every body horror movie that came out and give it the once-over. And as time has gone on, the movies have only gotten better. Recently, we've had Planet Terror, District 9, Splice, Black Swan, Slither, Cabin Fever, and The Human Centipede. I own all the ones that are currently out, and plan to get the ones that are not as soon as they are available. But I will always admit that had it not been for David Cronenberg, I would never have found the interest in body horror that I have now. I find the movies that he has directed to be among the best. The Fly, The Brood, Videodrome, and Scanners are some of the finest. I even love Nightbreed, where Cronenberg acted in the movie. His insane doctors were the creepiest thing in the movie, creepier than the monsters themselves.
I also appreciate body horror. Cronenberg did a movie before then. Takes place in a single apartment building or arcology. Parasites that increase sexual desire.
Oh, actually, I know.
Creepers, yeah. Or something like that. I really like that.
Or the Shivers.
Shivers, yeah.
It was the Shivers.
Yeah, Shivers.
Yeah, I've seen that one too.
Yeah. So have I. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was an underappreciated Cronenberg film.
But I love Cronenberg, man. And dude, he's a creepy ass actor too.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to disagree with that. So.
In fact, looking at him, I saw a picture from 2009. He still looks creepy.
Of course.
I like that.
Yeah. Of course. So anyways, of course, we have shout outs. First off, I'd like to give a shout out, one to RPPR fan listener, username Then John Was a Zombie, on our forums. He was one of our players in Fear the Con. He was both in Road Trip and in one of the Wild Talent Zombies and Other Caped Cannibals. And he also introduced us to a great little card game called We Didn't Play Test This at All. From Asmodee Games.
I'm saying this fucking game.
This fucking game. It's a card game that they obviously didn't play test at all.
And God bless them.
The object of the game is to win, and
to not lose.
And to not lose. You're playing until you lose or until you win, or
and you
until
want
someone
to win.
else wins. And you want to win. And the cards are ridiculous. There's no art on them, just text, but it can be played in 1 to 10 minutes.
Boy, that's
for 2
true.
to 10 players. Yeah, and it is very quick and very fun.
For 2 players, if it goes longer than 60 seconds, you're not playing.
You really
it right.
need to play like cards as fast as you get them. So I'll put a link up on their website. They have them. It's $10 apparently on their on the
Make
little
spaceship
website.
noises, Ross.
Pew pew pew. That's one of the cards actually. Spaceship. You put it down and you can draw 2 cards if it makes spaceship sounds. So yeah, good
and
time.
Ross got to make that noise. That made him happy.
And there's a zombies card, so it's a great game.
It has zombies in it. And it has dinosaurs.
It has dinosaurs in it, and and bombs and all kinds of fun stuff.
Ross and I loved it.
It's a great game. It's a great game that we'll play while we're waiting for people who are late to show up. Like, I don't know, Jason.
So we do this so we're not distracted. And we end up making characters like we did in Aaron's playtest.
Yeah.
That was a casualty of too much free time before the game started.
Yeah.
If
we didn't have that game. Yeah, we didn't have that game.
But if we had had that game,
yeah,
it might have gone differently.
And then you had one.
Yes, I have one shout out to a book called Operation Family Secrets. This is a book written by the son of a Chicago mob boss who basically was him describing his life in the mob and what made him turn evidence on his father.
Okay.
And it's even more interesting that I think this guy never entered the witness protection program.
Wow.
And says he's pretty sure that if his dad ever gets out, he'll come for him.
That would suck for him. That would definitely suck.
But yeah,
for him.
It's a really good read. I and I'm not really I like everyone. I kind of like the mob. It's interesting, but
yeah. Well, organized crime is interesting. I know in previous episode I gave one on McMafia, which is talking about organized crime worldwide. Mm-hmm. Very interesting topic, very complex, very nuanced, very well, I wouldn't say nuanced, but very, very complex.
Yes.
Very fascinating.
Well, these things always are.
Yeah. And finally, of course, self shout out.
Okay, yeah.
Zombies of the World.
Oh my God.
I know. I'm going to keep mentioning this. The book is coming out in June, but pre-orders are available now. If you go to our website, go to the website. Now, if you pre-order now, you'll get free shipping, a PDF of the book when I get the PDF out, and a free survivor safety poster. It's 11 by 17 poster, full color. I'll put it in with the book, and you can get both. And if you're an international customer, send an email to zombie.studies@gmail.com so I can figure out international shipping to you. I'm still setting up the store and everything. But yeah, if you're a big fan of Zombie, you can see previews of the pages of what I'm working on, of what is out there, of the book itself. It's a lot, 60 full color illustrations. Quite a bit of writing about zombies. I've
had a chance to read it.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So just go to the website and I'll have more there. In April, Tom and I are going to be starting up the blog for Zombies of the World, really focusing on that. We're going to have an advice column written by a ghoul, New England ghoul, one of the intelligent species of zombies. See, you didn't even know they're intelligent zombies. There are. And some of them are even peaceful.
Yeah. And they don't kill you.
They just eat corpses. Yeah, they don't kill the people. They just wait for them to die.
And imagine if we actually employed those.
Yeah.
We could the safety we could add, sanitation for getting rid of corpses.
Right. Plus, with their centuries of knowledge and experience, I mean, you're getting a bargain.
Yeah.
I mean, highly skilled employees. So
I say the society where zombies are accepted and utilized will be a society you and I will want to live in.
Exactly.
For a better future.
Actually, I do have one other thing. The music scene, a new album from the DJ Blockhead, or just Blockhead. It's great music. I've been listening to it. It's great music to chillax. It's trip hop. I think it's the best album yet. I'll put a link to the album and also one of the music scene, the scene for the title song, the music scene, which is great. The music video is it's like you're tripping already. It's this crazy surreal animation.
You are tripping.
I know. So if you like trip hop, if you like good,
Ross, you know that you're already lost when you watch that. It is Videodrome.
Oh fuck!
All hail the new flesh.
Oh damn it! Oh man. Oh well. At least it was for 2 good songs.
Exactly.
So finally, anecdotes. We have them. So Tom, do you want to start us off?
I will.
Yeah.
I played in some games at Fear the Con. I was in one of Ross's zombie games, but the one that I happened across that I was so happy had an open spot was someone ran a Rifts game there, and Yeah, I know. My last letter was pretty specific on what I thought of the Rift system, but this was not me running it. But to me,
you don't know how to quit it.
Why can't I quit? But no, but it seemed like it was a bug hunt. That was actually the name of the scenario, was bug hunt. So in Rifts, that was of course the Zitics or whatever the hell they're called.
The not Zerg.
The not Zerg, yes.
Yes.
And we were, like, the campaign, we woke up already, like, resin to the walls in one of their nests, which would have been crazy enough. However, the guy that ran it, I don't know if he just didn't have time to prepare, but he didn't have time to make the pre-gen characters, so he copied NPCs out of the various books. And when I say he copied them, he didn't just copy appropriate ones. I, for instance, was playing Coalition General Ross Underhill, who somehow was in this armored convoy in the field, completely unarmored, by the way. I woke up resin to the wall in my uniform. But it was only so, of course, and there was like a Cyber Knight, and there was a something else, but
doesn't matter. It's Rifts.
Yeah, it's Rifts.
It was a hobo.
Yeah, vagabond.
Vagabond. I'm sorry, vagabond.
So we were stuck in a hive yet somehow I had a flamethrower and a laser rifle taped together with a grenade launcher because I'm a general,
right?
But no armor. So a single hit of anything would have instantly killed me.
Nice.
So we were going through, and apparently there were mission parameters that I was apparently the mission commander, but I didn't know about.
Yeah.
Because we came at one point, we came across someone who was stuck to the wall saying, "General," says, "we lost the hot potato." And I, as General Ross, had Underhill stuff. What is the hot potato, by the way?
Yeah.
He says, "Well, you don't know." Excuse me. But the biggest shit is,
I'm level 14, bitches.
Yeah, I was actually a level 10 character.
Oh, okay.
Who, I'm a level 10 trained Super SAMAS pilot.
Yeah.
I never got to use one.
Yeah, of course not. That would be ridiculous, Tom.
Exactly.
Such a power game.
But at one point, we actually come across a room that has equipment that's been resined, to the wall.
Yeah.
So there's a suit of Dead Boy armor. Yeah. That, to get it out, I carefully remove it by melting the resin with my flamethrower.
Right. Because it's an SDC flamethrower.
No, it's an MDC.
So wouldn't have it damaged the armor?
To an extent, but the resin was MDC as well.
Oh.
And I had that on. I was walking around with half-melted armor the whole time. And apparently the bomb was like this mystically empowered nuclear warhead, which the Coalition would never ever use.
Yeah, no, they
would use a nuclear warhead, but not a mystically empowered one.
They wouldn't know how to make one.
They wouldn't. Apparently, it was a rift closer. But they could. I knew nothing of the mission. I didn't know how. Was I supposed to get the bomb into the portal? Was it supposed to explode next to the portal? Or I don't know. And of course, I sense how serious this is. So I'm playing Ross, Underhill as, loyal to the Coalition to the point I will start actively threatening the other players because they have, pro non-human sentiments.
Right.
So they all left me, and of course I go out in this blaze of nuclear fire.
Right.
But the thing that got me the most was I was looking on his sheet. General Ross Underhill. This is a 4-star general.
Yeah.
Is illiterate.
Well, that's not the GM's fault, though.
No, it's not. But this is just this is the game
Rifts.
in general. It's Rifts.
Oh, Rifts, Chan.
And I'm sorry. No, I know they don't encourage education, but you do not get to the rank of a command general.
Yeah.
And not be able to read.
Out of all the things to criticize Rifts, Tom, you chose that.
I think that's a pretty damn valid one.
Okay.
But no, I could explain how the game went, but why?
Right.
It's Rifts. You know how it went. Okay, it was a Rifts con game.
Right.
That should be all you need to know. The fact that actually, I'll say one thing I did do that makes me think Rifts is stupid. Ross Underhill has an MA of 23.
Yeah.
Because he's a really charismatic guy.
Yeah.
Which is trust and intimidate.
Yeah.
I actually intimidated one of the bugs to flee from us.
You just made your percentile check, and that was
that was
wow.
it. I did that. Like it's like you like stop it now, in the name of the coalition.
I have to give your GM a point for that because that's fucking awesome. That's great. I love this.
And he says, "Okay, well, make an intimidate roll." I made it like he flees.
That's great. It's like no, bad bug, bad alien, bad DB. You don't do that. You should have just had a spray bottle of water. I mean, treated them all like cats. Like, oh, God damn it, stop tearing up the planet.
Or a roll-up newspaper.
Yeah, exactly. No spray bottle.
Well, a rolled-up mega damage newspaper.
Yeah, mega damage. What am I thinking? Yeah.
But it's
Vibro newspaper.
Once again, the Rift setting is really awesome, but the system is just crap.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a little worked up over that, Ross. Why don't you jump in here?
You also did have the Divine Fire thing too. Somebody actually ran it.
Oh yeah, I did. Well,
let me talk.
Yeah,
about
you
my
do
thing,
yours
yeah.
first.
I ran Road Trip, which was great, and I'll just post the AP for that, so I don't need to talk about that. It wasn't a very noisy place. The whole con was pretty noisy, but what are you gonna do?
Actually, particularly that game I've said in the last 20 minutes of.
Yeah.
It was downstairs. Yeah. So everyone was really compressed together.
Yeah, and so was Road Trip. But anyways, to the 2 Wild Talents games I had, Zombies and Other Cape Cannibal. I'm going to be updating it and running a Gen Con, by the way. I have like 2 or 3 sessions of it. So those of the people going to Gen Con, keep an eye out for that. Anyways, I gave each person a normal citizen that had been kidnapped and given 1 superpower by an evil bioweapons corporation.
The Umbrella Corporation.
Yeah, not Umbrella. The Umbrella knockoff. The generic Umbrella. I could go on. Anyways, they also made zombies as a bioweapon. And guess what? They got loose. And guess what? They infected all the superheroes and supervillains of the city.
And guess what?
It's up to you guys to save it.
Yeah.
The pre-gens I had a lot of fun with. There's a grandmother who smoked Virginia Slims and had pyrokinesis. The first game, she was only playing the first game because they had a full 6 players. Second game, there were only 5 players, and she was the one that was not taken. The pre-gen not taken. And so the player in the first one was great. I think his name was Jeremiah, the player. And he said, oh, well, he did a great job role-playing her. It's like, oh, my little kitties. I miss my kitties, so I'm going to make fire kitties. Go get them, Mitzi! To attack the zombies. I'm like, all right, great. They cave out the head, and your fire kitty nests in the empty
purring.
skull. Yeah, purring. I'm not sure how a fire manifestation of a kitten can purr, but it does. Then there's
we don't take kindly to logic in these parts.
Yeah, exactly. There was a gym teacher with elasticity, Plastic Man style.
Bank executive with mimic
power
powers.
Mimic. Waitress with invulnerability. Hipster with time manipulation powers. I gave one of his passions is irony. In the first game, the grandmother had her arm cut off. By an infected Wolverine type with claws, and he rolled like 7 damage to the arm, so arm gone. She made her check and cauterized her wound with her pyrokinesis, or cigarette, basically. Her entire arm stump, because, again, pyrokinesis. But the hipster kept the arm, and later on they were going up the side of a building and using the gym teacher as a window washer platform kind of thing, just squeaking up there. And what the hipster did was, some office worker broke a window and grabbed onto it trying to escape, from the zombie office workers. And hipster beat him off with the grandmother's severed arm. And he said, no, I'm giving him a hand. So I gave him a point of willpower for that. And so the first group, they were very, they saved the lab technician, found out what was going on, got all the exposition. You guys, you ignored the lab technician as soon as you woke up and just went off and did your own fucking thing.
Yes, we did.
They took the elevator, you took the stairs. They ran away from the alien warrior that was Subject Zero, the source of the alien infection. You decided to fight it and all get infected. It was interesting to see how the exact same scenario can play out in very different ways with different groups. So
depending on the jackass level of the players.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to revamp it, add some more stuff to it, and make it a little more fleshed out. But it was a great game, and I look forward to running it for this group. What I'll do is record it for this group and post that, because I'm not going to post like 3 versions of the same thing, because except for the ransoms. I have all of them, but I've got like 6 games of Night Mall. I still haven't posted because there's 6 things at the same one. So
Right.
But yeah, give us some thoughts if you'd like to. Maybe we could do some mini ransoms if you want to listen to these con games. I could do a big collection of them, and maybe I don't know if you're an AP fan. Let us know if you'd like to hear all these games I haven't posted yet. These con games particularly, and I'll look into that. But I think that kind of wraps. Finally, your Divine Fire thing.
Yeah, I got to actually play in someone running a version of Divine Fire. Yeah, of course it was a con game. First of all, we did not get done in the time.
Yeah, they actually, the Fear of the Boot people mentioned this is a reoccurring thing, and I think our next episode should be about running con games or something, because I've never had a con game that I've run go over. I've always finished them on time. I mean, if anything, I tend to run them a little quicker than usual, like at 2.5 hours.
You kind of have to.
Well, I mean, I finish them like 2 to 3 hours usually, which is a little. But I explain the rules. 2.5 hours, 3 hours is my average.
Yeah.
So, but I've never gone over.
We went 4 hours and we weren't done. In fact,
Yeah.
he said he says we were still about only 2/3 into the scenario.
Damn.
But I mean, I do admit, it was 6 players.
Yeah.
And all of us. We were trying to get along. There were a few points I had to metagame just to move things along because I wrote the scenario.
I know what's going on. Spoiler alert.
I thought he did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
He had to move on to something else. I wish I got his email or something.
Yeah, actually, if you are the author, if you were the guy who ran, I think his name was David something. If you're the con GM who ran that game, please get in contact with us so we can talk to you about this.
Yeah,
because I'd love to hear how he designed it too.
Because there were some questions that, first of all, he didn't have the ghoul in there.
Yeah,
which puzzled me.
Yeah, because you explained on the way back that was the main source of exposition.
Information of what's going on.
Right.
And because Dr. Kempfer was a little, the scientist, he was a little too crazy to reveal too much.
Yeah.
But that's what the ghoul was for, and he told me I didn't like the ghoul.
Right. Well,
but the problem was the doctor was still as crazy, so
right. So the players were fucked.
Yeah, they couldn't get any of the information they needed.
Right. And they're like, I've had an idea. Oh, it's probably azathoth as a nuclear reactor. Let's do this.
Well, he wouldn't even use that. He made it his own thing.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
But and
see, I'd love to hear how he modified it.
Yeah, or the lieutenant who was in the mess hall.
Yeah.
Wasn't really all that mutated.
Yeah. That was always a highlight of your scenario, was that initial reaction with the crazy guy in the mess hall. Because that always went bad. Very bad.
Yes, he got a lot of other stuff done. He got a lot of that stuff really well.
Yeah.
And also Private Kohler practically did nothing. And they found him. He was too tired. It was trying not to pass out, which is true. But then he just fell asleep, and that was the end of him.
Too bad.
I think it was. I don't know if he had ever run it before. I don't know if he was tired or not.
Right.
I know that's why he didn't. He was using earlier versions of the characters.
Right. Were you guys still prisoners, or were you?
Oh yeah. We definitely agreed that it was much better with prisoners.
Yeah. Because then you have freedom. Yeah. Ironically, more freedom than soldiers would have.
And the beginning, also. I have just critiques I really wanted to give him, but he had to move on.
Yeah.
Another one is there was when the trucks arrived, there's supposed to be that you hear people get out, there are voices.
Yeah.
And then suddenly something just starts attacking them, and there's sounds of chaos, and the truck starts shaking, and it was just silence. Nothing shook. Yeah,
because then the players aren't cued into what's going on.
No, but then they said you look at They say how long. And then he asked how long do you wait?
Yeah.
So he said, I'd say logically about 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes, nothing's happened.
Okay.
So we finally look outside and we see that the guys in the truck behind us are dead, but there was no sound.
Yeah.
And the creatures that were running around were not stealthy.
Yeah, that's inconsistent. I would love to hear his process, because I haven't heard of anybody occasionally people have mentioned, I've run your version of this scenario from listening to the actual play. And for a lot of those, there are going to be scenarios that I've never written out, like the Slender Man or Candle Cove or whatever. And I'd love to hear how they take the actual play and turn it into a scenario for their own group, because I only ran through one set of possible things. So how do they cover the other eventualities?
But And actually, I've heard there's some people that have said they have done versions of Divine Fire. And,
yeah.
And of course, they told me like it says they didn't bother with the ghoul, or this happened. They gunned down the lieutenant immediately. And but it's.
Why is that?
I was just wondering. I know he said I didn't like the ghoul. Like, well, I want to tell him like in that case, you kind of have to make the doctor a little less crazy,
right?
Because someone has to deliver the information.
Yeah, they have, or leave documents that they could translate or that they can read. Something in a language they can read. Because otherwise they're kind of fucked, not knowing what's going on. So, all right, interesting. So if you have any thoughts about that, post on our forums. Let us know about it, or email us, or tweet us, or whatever.
We are all over the internets.
Well, I am. I don't know about you, Tom.
I'm all over too.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I guess that wraps up about this episode. So next episode, I think we will probably talk about con games. That sounds like a good thing. Or at least running games on time. I mean, really, how can you not do a con game in 4 hours? I mean, you have 4 hours. I mean, we get so much shit done in a 4 hour.
In fact, Aaron, his very first con game ever, got it done in practically about 3 hours 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. You could just keep on moving. I
got mine done in about just a little less than 3 hours.
Yeah. So I cannot believe that you cannot do this. So we'll talk about, and I think in a lot of games are too slow. People can speed them up, make them more efficient, because that's what gaming is about: efficiency.
Yes. Efficiency, and morality.
Exactly. So anyways, and maybe some other stuff in the next episode. But anyways, this has been Ross Payne here with...
And I'm Tom.
And Tom Church, and we